The sun rose. John woke up. Something was wrong. The city was silent. No cars, no people, just an eerie quiet. John looked out his window. What he saw made his blood run cold. The streets were filled with them. They weren't people anymore. They were monsters, pale, rotting with dead eyes. John's heart pounded in his chest. He was trapped in a city of zombies. John knew he couldn't stay put. He had to find food, water, and a way out. He grabbed his backpack, filled it with essentials, and snuck out of his apartment. The hallway was empty. He crept downstairs, his senses on high alert. A low groan echoed from the stairwell below. John froze. Two figures shambled into view. Their eyes were vacant, their skin gray and rotting. Zombies. John's breath caught in his throat. He had to get past them. John gripped his baseball bat tightly. He took a deep breath and charged, swinging the bat with all his might. The impact sent a shudder through his arms. One zombie fell, but the other lunged. John dodged just in time, tripping over a discarded bag.
Hey, over here!
A young woman appeared, wielding a crowbar. She struck the zombie with surprising force.
I'm Maria. We need to get out of here.
John and Maria joined forces. They shared what little food they had. They knew they needed more supplies to survive. Maria had heard rumors of a community center a few blocks away. It was a risky move, but they had no choice. They ventured out, sticking to back alleys and deserted side streets. The city was a graveyard of abandoned cars and shattered windows. The silence was broken only by the occasional groan of a zombie. The tension was palpable. They reached the community center. The doors were locked and the place looked deserted. The windows were all boarded up, giving the building an eerie, abandoned look. The group knew they had to get inside to find shelter and supplies, but a window had been boarded up. As John pried the boards loose, the wood creaked and groaned, echoing through the empty streets. The tension was palpable as every sound seemed to amplify in the silence. The group held their breath, hoping not to attract any unwanted attention. A sudden commotion erupted behind them. A horde of zombies, their grotesque forms shuffling and stumbling, appeared from around the corner. The noise of the boards breaking had drawn them like moths to a flame. The group's worst fears were realized as the undead closed in. Drawn by the noise, surged around the corner. The sight was horrifying, decaying bodies with lifeless eyes driven by an insatiable hunger. The group knew they had to act fast. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of their situation. The zombies were relentless, and there was no time to waste. They sprinted towards the back of the building, the horde hot on their heels. John glanced back to see a sea of rotting faces, their eyes burning with a hunger for living flesh. The group's hearts pounded in their chests as they ran for their lives. The sound of the zombies' guttural moans filled the air, adding to the terror of the moment. Their only hope was to find another way into the building, a back door or another window. The group split up, each person frantically searching for an entrance. The fear was overwhelming, but they knew they had to stay focused. The zombies were getting closer, and time was running out. S3, media, person running in panic, people fleeing from zombies, zombie attack. Run! They scrambled through a broken window, landing in a dusty storeroom. John quickly barricaded the door with whatever he could find. They were safe, for now, but they were trapped. The community center was overrun.
What do we do now?
John scanned the room, desperation clawing at him. They had found safety, but for how long? And how would they escape this nightmare? John rummaged through the storeroom. He found cans of food, bottled water, and a first aid kit. It wasn't much, but it was hope. As he dug further, he uncovered a dusty map of the city. His eyes widened as he noticed something.
Look!
He exclaimed, showing the map to Maria.
There's an old tunnel network marked here. It used to be a subway line, long abandoned. It might lead out of the city.
The tunnel entrance was on the other side of the city. It was a place they had only heard about in whispers, a potential gateway to freedom, but also a path fraught with peril. The city, once bustling with life, now lay in ruins, a ghostly reminder of what once was. The streets were empty, save for the occasional silhouette moving in the shadows, each one a potential threat or ally. It was a long shot, but their only shot. The risks were high, but the alternative was unthinkable. Staying meant certain doom, a slow and painful end in a city that had turned against its inhabitants. The tunnel represented hope, a slim chance at a new beginning, far from the desolation that surrounded them. They decided to leave at nightfall, using the cover of darkness to their advantage. The night was their ally, concealing their movements from prying eyes. They moved with purpose, each step calculated, each breath measured. The darkness was both a shield and a shroud, hiding them from danger but also obscuring their path. They reinforced their makeshift weapons and prepared for the long journey ahead. Every piece of equipment was scrutinized, every tool tested. They knew that once they left, there would be no turning back. Their supplies were limited, their weapons rudimentary, but their resolve was unbreakable. They were determined to survive, to reach the tunnel and whatever lay beyond it. As the last rays of sun faded, they slipped out of the community center. The building had been their refuge, a place of relative safety in a world gone mad. But now it was time to leave, to venture into the unknown. They moved silently, their senses heightened, every sound amplified in the stillness of the night. The city was a maze of shadows and lurking danger. Every alleyway, every corner held the potential for ambush. They had to stay alert, to trust their instincts. The city, once familiar, now felt alien, a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty. The streetlights cast long shadows, creating illusions that played tricks on their minds. Every corner they turned, every rustle of leaves sent shivers down their spines. The night was alive with sounds, each one a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. They flinched at every noise, their nerves on edge. But they pressed on, driven by the hope of reaching the tunnel, of finding a way out of the nightmare that their city had become. Their journey was just beginning, and the path ahead was uncertain, but they knew they had to keep moving, to keep fighting for their chance at freedom. The tunnel entrance was hidden in an overgrown park. The stench of decay was overpowering. They crept through the darkness, their hearts pounding. The air was thick with the silence of the dead. Finally, they reached it. The iron gates of the tunnel entrance stood before them, rusted and creaking. They squeezed through a gap, their eyes struggling to adjust to the darkness. The tunnel stretched out before them, a pathway to the unknown. The journey through the tunnels was perilous. Every step they took was fraught with danger, the air thick with the scent of decay and the echoes of distant growls. The darkness seemed to close in around them, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. The only light came from their flickering flashlights, casting eerie shadows on the tunnel walls. They encountered collapsed sections, flooded passages, and even a few stray zombies. Each obstacle tested their resolve and their ability to work together. The collapsed sections required them to climb over rubble and squeeze through narrow gaps, while the flooded passages forced them to wade through murky water, unsure of what lay beneath the surface. The stray zombies, though few in number, were a constant threat, their guttural moans sending shivers down their spines. But John and Maria persevered. Their determination was unwavering, fueled by the hope of finding a safe haven. They moved with purpose, their eyes scanning the darkness for any signs of danger. They communicated with hand signals and whispers, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. They knew that their survival depended on their ability to trust and rely on each other. After what felt like an eternity, they emerged from the darkness. They had made it. The fresh air filled their lungs, a stark contrast to the stale, musty air of the tunnels. The sunlight was blinding at first, but it was a welcome change from the oppressive darkness. They took a moment to catch their breath, their hearts pounding with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Standing on a hill overlooking the city, they watched the sunrise. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, a beautiful reminder that there was still beauty in the world. The city below, once bustling with life, was now a silent, eerie landscape. The buildings stood like silent sentinels, bearing witness to the devastation that had unfolded. The zombie-infested city was a distant nightmare. They were free. The horrors they had faced were now behind them, and the future stretched out before them like a blank canvas. They knew that there would be challenges ahead, but they were ready to face them together. The city, with its memories of fear and loss, was now just a backdrop to their new beginning. And as they turned their backs on the city and walked towards the horizon, they carried with them a flicker of hope for a new beginning. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities. They had each other, and that was enough. With every step they took, they left behind the shadows of the past and moved towards a future filled with promise and hope. The dawn of a new day had arrived, and with it, the chance to rebuild and start anew.